I agree with it. I think it's a good idea because accepting spending limits, even though public funding for campaigns might be a little controversial, accepting spending limits I think overall is a better thing because like with the current election for governor, certain candidates have contributed millions of dollars, which other candidates can't afford, you know? So I think it levels the playing field.
Proposition 15, I believe that they should not be able to use tax dollars.
I like that because I think donations and the way we do elections is really problematic in terms of the money that it costs to run. And if it's coming from public funds and we limit private, then hopefully it equalizes candidates who run, because otherwise you just have to be rich to run. You just don't have a chance. And that's not what democracy is about.
Any limits on spending, I believe, are a good thing because, you know, we just saw in Great Britain how they did their whole political system for their highest office within less than a week, and formed the coalition government and didn't spend the time and the resources and the money that we tend to spend. And I don't know that we achieve any better results than they did. So this particular office, Secretary of State, again, I want to minimize the interest groups spending and favoring a candidate that can benefit from their money. So 15 makes sense. Again, I want to read it carefully, make sure there's no funny twist that I may or may not spot.
I know enough about Proposition 15. It sounds a little iffy to me.
Pretty useful. I like the idea of capping the election, the money spent on elections. I don't know a lot, and so I hope there's not a whole lot of trapdoors to this proposition, but that sounds all right.
I don't think I like Proposition 15. I mean, I guess it depends on what kind of public funds. I have not read up on it. I wasn't even aware that one was going to be on the ballot. But I feel like public funds could go to so many better things, you know, unless the public funds were specifically dedicated to election campaigns. I don't really think that those should be tapped into for that.
I'm for it, because Proposition 15 would help reduce public donors' influence over campaigns and politicians.
Proposition 15 sounds like a bad idea because it's not clear where funds would be coming from, and I think there would be a lot of confusion about whether there's private funds or public funds, and it could be easily abused.
I have no opinion on Proposition 15. It's pretty complicated. I have to research it a little bit more.
Spend any money they get. That's what I say.
Proposition 15 is, I think it's really confusing. It's hard to tell the merits of a public campaign system without really getting into to the nuts and bolts. And I think that it's something that really shouldn't be a proposition. I think that this topic is a bit too complicated for the average voter, including myself.
Well, Proposition 15 here claims that that some candidates can use public funds in the campaign, and I think that that's not fair. I think that there should be, first of all, a limited amount of money that should be spent in campaigns, whether it's private or public, but mainly I believe if equality of opportunity for candidates is to prevail, there will have to be all elections funded by public funds and not to the mercy, be left at the mercy of who has more money, private money, or who can gather more private money and therefore run a terrific campaign that is going to be able to impress the voters. I think the equality is not going to be achieved that way.
You know, I don't have much of an opinion on it. You know, I don't necessarily agree with Prop 15 and the idea of, you know, candidates using tax dollars for their own personal funding, their campaigns. I think they should be able to find their own means.
I disagree with this proposition. I would vote no on it because I feel like money still has a huge influence on the way politicians vote, and so I think this would curb politicians' behavior by having money and influence through a small group of lobbyists.
I guess depending on where the public funds are coming from, yeah, I'm for that. I'm for that.
Proposition 15, I'm currently undecided. On one hand, I think that giving candidates public funds to use eliminates the bias of someone who has their own funds that they can just pour into the campaign. So I think that in terms of sort of leveling the playing field, that's really great. On the other hand, I haven't done enough research into what the spending limits are or what the caps on private contributions would be, and so I haven't decided if I like this specific incarnation of that idea.